Hey, what's up everybody? Welcome to the video. This time is the MAFEX Iron Spider from Avengers Infinity War / Endgame. So if you've seen the movie, you already know what you're getting into. If you haven't seen the movie, I don't know what's been going on, but I may have a spoiler for you. So yeah. Anyway, this is one of the most perfect Spider-Man figures that you've gotten. Was it worth the wait? Yes and no in my opinion. And that goes by the fact that it's one thing to wait on a figure for very long, and I'd much rather wait on a figure and have it be right than to rush out a figure and it be terribly wrong. So I'm okay with waiting that long, and I don't mind waiting. But my number one issue always is, for all of this wait, and especially delays upon being late, there still shouldn't be the amount of issues that you have with the figure that you get. So it's a little rough for me. But is it the best Iron Spider figure out? Because there's no comic book one that's not done by Hasbro, yes. Movie wise, this is much better than the SHF. It beats it in terms of articulation, it beats it in terms of look. But one of the things that really bother me about MAFEX is its QC issues. I bought a few of these and all of them have had some sort of QC issue, and it's a little problematic with me. But I'm willing to look past it because it's fixable. But I noticed that some people have been having issues with their figure with the spider legs breaking. So I have not had that issue, but I will talk about it. But anyway, let's jump forward into the review because now I'm babbling on. But I wanted to make sure I got all of that stuff out of the way, so that way I can jump into what's good and what's bad and all that other good jazz. But yeah, so the figure itself has the look. The metallic look is absolutely wonderful. It's not my cake. I actually prefer the matte look. I think metallic looks great. It looked great in the movie, but sometimes it doesn't translate well to me. But it actually did a great job here. But my problem with metallic paint is that right here where it's going to rub here in the shoulders is going to be an issue later. And that's one of those things that I am worried about, which is why I could have looked past it. But it does look absolutely wonderful in this figure. But I'm going to jump into articulation. So as far as the head sculpt, the head can look up, really far up, because like the previous MAFEX, it has that little hook on the neck that allows it to have that extra bit of movement, which is great for Spider-Man figures, especially when you want to get those extra cool articulation moves. So let me just try to pop this head back in. Got to make sure it matches the hook. Looking down is not an issue. It has that extra bit of frame. The shoulders have the great butterfly joints that we all know and want on a Spider-Man figure. The neck gives free range movement to just about anything that Spider-Man can do. The arms are double jointed. There is natural ball joint hinge. There is a bicep swivel as well. So you can actually get just about any pose upper torso wise with your Spider-Man, right? As you can see here, looking great. Let me actually pull over some more light. Now, as far as the midsection goes, you actually have a really nice ab crunch that goes pretty far forward. You have a nice backwards swivel, or crunch I should say, reverse crunch, right? That goes really far back. The legs actually use the drop down method, which is pretty old, and I know some people don't like it. But it's very important for figures like Spider-Man, especially to allow them to do the things that they do. You can see the leg can go all the way up. The leg has a little bit of swivel at the knee, and it's double jointed as well. And it has a ball joint here at the ankle that connects it, that allows for beyond generous, spectacular ankle pivot. So as you can see here, the leg also has thigh swivel. But you want to be careful because the crotch section is very soft here, for parts that are going to allow it to bunch in. And the reason why that is because it allows for things like this to happen for your ab crunch wise. Now, let's say you were posing your Spider-Man up to do a thrust and leg kick like this, right? Because of that soft spot here, it allows you to be able to get the full rotation for this. Even though, let's fix that arm, and voila. As you can see, Spider-Man now has the full rotation to do that. Or even if you wanted to do the one knee pose or bend them down, all of that stuff is pretty much made possible because of that soft spot, which is very important and it's very cool. Now, also be careful because when you are doing it going backwards, like let's say you're putting it back in, you want to just push it back in so that way there's no gaps in your Spider-Man. Of course, it's going to be a little bit, but you don't want it to have the unnecessary ones. Now let's stand you straight up, and we're going to talk about the accessories that you come with and how you go about those accessories. Now, the cool thing with this is, and I really like it, that they added for the back part was that you remove the back part of him, and there's actually magnets there. to help magnetize the back piece to hold the arms. Now, this is really cool. It's a great concept gimmick, but one thing you don't account on is, I don't know if you guys can see this, but sometimes it's going to leave these little gaps because the weight doesn't translate, or the metallic paint gets a little sticky and it doesn't allow it to clasp all the way in, leaving tiny little gaps. It doesn't bother me, but I wanted to bring that to a point for those of you who are looking for the perfectionist side of this. It's going to bother you. Like, that may be a minor issue. Now, with the legs out even like this, Spider-Man should be able to stand up, as you can see, with no problems whatsoever. And I just wanted to point that out. He has a great job of standing. It won't be flimsy. The joints hold very well. Even my spider legs hold very well. Now, I know some people were having issues with their spider legs. What I did was heat mine up and then let it sit overnight before doing anything. And now mine's hold with no problem. See? I know this won't be the occasion for some people. Some have broken. These joints are actually very soft and gummy out of the box. I heated mine up, made it soft. Gave it some rotating therapy where I rotate the joints while they're soft. And then I let it cool down and try it again. And I repeat the process until they're ungummied. That's what I did. Now, these absolutely are wonderful when you compare them to the SHF ones, which are terrible in comparison to these. This is easily the one that you would want. It's more accurate to the movie. It has a better look to it. It has a better vibe, better paint job, better sculpt. These are just normal spider legs. Now that I've said that, my only minor issue with the Spider-Man is that it just took too long and a minor paint QC issues. Otherwise, I can't really fault anything with it that I've had an issue with, other than the back part not connecting at the top of his shoulder. Now, other than that, it's been absolutely great. Now, the other thing I want to talk about is the other accessories that he comes with. I just wanted to knock those out first. Now, actually, there's one other thing that I may not like, but I think MAFEX hasn't done a great job of this so far yet for Peter Parker, is the head sculpt. Yes, it looks like Tom Holland, but it is exceptionally soft sculpt. It has the look of Tom Holland, but my issue is that it looks like he's too round in the face. Now, when you compare it to the 112 Man Nipple Head, aka Flashback Studios, let me get some more light on this. There we go. It just doesn't have the look that they have. So when you compare the two, obviously this one is the worst one, but Flashback Studio does a great job of it. Now, in terms of what else he comes with, Spider-Man gets one more alternative head. This one has these smaller eyes for squinting, scoping, things like that, just to revolve around expression. As you can see, he comes here with the relaxed hands on, but you do get normal fist. You'll get web swinging hands, and I'll get to web swinging right now because of that. And then you also get a web line, where if you want, you can put the web line in here to mimic swinging for this one. And they made these web lines more translucent than the previous ones, while the other ones being more white. These ones are definitely more translucent. You'll get 2 of these. Then you get web shooting hands, obviously because we all know he has to web shoot. Then you get 2 magnetic hands for wall crawling, like all the previous Spider-Man that we've been getting. And then you'll also get 2 magnetic feet that we've been getting for our Spider-Man. And they hold pretty strong. I was testing them out with some magnets. They can't do something especially crazy, but if you still have your wall from Amazing Spider-Man 2, he'll stick to it, no problem. Then you'll get your wall crawling hands, which we all know and love. When you want to mimic them without the magnets, you get 2 short web lines, and then you get 2 long web lines for when you're web shooting. That way you can get up on it, get that web throw going. Now I'm also going to move all these parts around. I'm actually going to take off these legs so I can put on his normal back so we can get comparison with a bunch of other things. So that way we don't lose our minds. Oop. There I go dropping it, splashing in the water. Now, stand you straight up. And the first thing I want to do is compare you to your Iron Spider counterpart from SHF. And then I'm going to compare you to your Homecoming counterpart, also from MAFEX. So as we can see here, it's almost like looking at 2 completely different things. SHF has the more concept art design. Meanwhile, MAFEX has pretty much nailed the movie design perfectly. So that's the big difference here. After MAFEX is coming out, the SHF one looks exactly like, that's it, just concept art. Nothing from the finalized movie. And MAFEX pretty much nailed the metallic design. It looks absolutely wonderful. While I like the SHF, it's not the winner here. MAFEX is better. Now we're going to compare it to his Homecoming counterpart. And you can see here, body proportion wise and look wise, they've made some improvements, but they still managed to keep him the same size, which is something I very much like. They even managed to make him somehow look thinner here. So you see the torso is a little bit wider for articulation. The crotch area is still the same. Legging is still similar, but they've managed to make it just trick you and to make it, you know, look a little different. Even the face is a little bit smaller. So things like that. Now we're going to compare you to your your 616 counterpart, also done by MAFEX. As you can see, these are very much nothing alike, but I just wanted to compare the two just in case you wanted a size comparison between Spider-Man. So yeah, take a look. Also, if you like the Spider-Man cartoon, you can actually like use that, right? Now we're going to jump into it with other things and things like that. First thing I want to do is compare him to the Mark 85. For those of you who love him 3000 and want to compare him to the Tony Meister. Here, these two go right here. They look absolutely great together. This is where the SHF and the MAFEX really shine together. And they're really showing off just how good they look together when it comes to SHF doing Iron Man really, really well. And MAFEX doing Spider-Man really, really well. Now we're going to compare it to a bunch of other things and get the things going. Oh, one more thing. Like all MAFEXs, it does come with a stand. I almost never use these, but I wanted to make sure I added it in this time. Here he is next to an SH Figure Arts Kamen Rider Cougar. As you can see here, they're very sort of similar in size. Like Cougar was a teen, but instead he's just a small guy. Here he is next to the Marvel Legends Miles Morales, which I think these two actually look great together because if you're both doing young teen bodies, this absolutely works very, very well. Here he is next to a Marvel Legends Symbiote Suit Spider-Man. Back to the gap in terms of height. Next up, we're going to compare him to Hasbro's Lightning Collection. I don't even know what it was for the American team. Kyoto Yuja in Japan, but I forgot the name here. Here he is next to an SHF Thanos, which I think these two absolutely look wonderful together. Next up, an SH Figure Arts Star-Lord, in case you want to do your movie scene. And as you can see, Star-Lord's not much taller, but also still works pretty decently. Spider-Man is crouched down most of the time. Here he is with Captain Marvel. And she's not very tall, so this actually works out in my favor. I don't mind it at all. Next up, we're going to compare it to a Marvel Legends Hydro Man. If you're watching the Homecoming movie or you want to compare it to the Homecoming movie. What else do we have? I actually have plenty of things. Here is Reptile from Storm Collectibles. Here's Mezco Blade with a custom head and custom vest from 112 Shop. And the head is from Old Boy, just in case you guys are wondering. In case you want to compare him to the Revoltech Iron Man. There you go. Now you have him with a comic book Iron Man. Next up, I'm going to compare him to Endgame Hulk. And then we have Infinity War Hulk. Depending on how you want to do it, and compare a Hulk. Spider-Man is tiny compared to all of these guys. Whoop. There we go. Last but not least, I'm going to do a quick comparison between Mysterio, the Hasbro one, and this one is from Far From Home. Because we've seen him briefly in his suit, you never know if he may use it or not. So I'm just going to compare that. Oh, and then he fell. Then we're going to compare it to Marvel Legends Venom. Let's see if I can fix this fallen movement. And then last but not least, I'm going to compare him to the Revoltech Venom, in case you want a more stylized Venom. Let's fix these feet. And then an articulated Icons Ninja for last. Should you want to have a Ninja War with Spider-Man. Voila. Now, honestly, I think the wait was worth it, minus the QC issues. With the QC issues, kind of makes me a little bummed that we still got some of them, but it's still an excellent figure, by far the best Iron Spider we have, and probably going to be a great figure coming for the next couple of years. If MAFEX can continue down this route, I think they'll definitely be taking a cake from SHF in terms of Spider-Man and maybe even other figures. I look forward to their new releases now. I definitely do. But in the meantime, guys, I hope you enjoyed. Hope you found it informative. And most of all, guys, do good, be good, drink your water. Later.